In this video, we're going to see how to use myUPEI to enter a requisition to purchase goods or services. In the past, you would have used a procedure that involved either a white external requisition form, or some departments were entering external requisitions online using the UIS. But this procedure we're about to see replaces both of those old ways of doing things. So I'm at the home page in myUPEI, and I'm going to click on Web Advisor for Employees, and then I'm going to go down to Financial Information, choose it, and finally I'm going to choose Requisition for Goods and Services. So this is the Requisition for Goods and Services page that has appeared. Just for your information, there's some other bits of information available here at the top of the page. These are basically the other choices that are available to you under financial information. But myUPEI automatically scrolls down the page to start you off at this section. So the first thing to do when entering a requisition is to find the vendor that you're looking for, and we have a search feature here to make that easy. So I'm going to create a requisition to Dell. So I'm going to type in Dell. Whoops, let's try spelling it right. I'm going to type in Dell at this point. Now, it's a good idea to keep the search text that you enter here short. The shorter it is, the more comprehensive the search is. If you type in too much text, it gets rather specific and you'll have fewer vendors match, and you might even miss the vendor you're looking for. For example, if I were to type in Dell Computer, the name of the vendor in the system isn't Dell Computer, it's Dell Canada. So Dell Computer would actually miss the vendor that I'm looking for. So it's better to keep it fairly short. So I've entered Dell, now I'm going to click Submit. And there's one vendor in the system that matches, Dell Canada Inc. If there were multiple vendors, they would be listed here. In this case, I'm just going to choose Dell by clicking on the radio button and then clicking Submit. So now we're into the Enter a Requisition for Goods and Services page. The first batch of fields here are already set up for you. You really don't need to change anything that's there. One thing I will draw your attention to is this AP type. This doesn't need to be changed unless the vendor should be paid in US dollars. That's the only time you change this field. Even if it's not Canadian dollars, so if it were a vendor being paid, say, in euros or yen, you still leave it as AP regular accounts payable. The only time you change it is if it's a US vendor. Okay, so that's a little bit counterintuitive. Only if it's a US vendor. For any other currency, including Canadian, you leave it set to AP regular accounts payable. Now, the next table here allows me to enter the details of the items I want to purchase. So item description, buying from Dell, and I'm going to make up an Optiplex 5000. I don't think they ever made a 5000. The vendor item column, that's for either the catalog number, or sometimes it's called a stock keeping unit. It's a place where you can enter something which uniquely identifies this particular item. And again, I'm just kind of making this up for this little demonstration. Optiplex 5K. This is the quantity that you want to purchase, and in this case I just want to purchase one. Unit of issue further defines the quantity for those things that may be sold, say, by the bag, or might be sold by the box, or could be sold by the kilogram. If you're purchasing something like a computer, say, in this case, something that is sold as a unit and not sold in some other kind of measurement, just use each here. I'm going to enter the price, and this price goes in without tax. And now we come to the spot, these two columns, where we indicate where the funds are going to come from to pay for this item. So the cost center and the object code are the new terms that describe our accounts in our general ledger. In the past, it would have been an account number and a class code, but as part of Project Beacon and the new processes and procedures that are coming along with it, one of the things that was updated was our chart of accounts in the general ledger. Luckily, myUPEI provides the names and numbers of the cost centers to which you are authorized in this little drop-down. So in this case, I'm going to choose this one. Object code, again, refines or describes the type of item that you're purchasing, or the type of expense. So I'm going to choose computers and computer hardware. So one little note, it's possible to enter a combination here that's not actually defined in the system. So you have to make sure that you're putting in a cost center and an object code combination that actually is valid and that you have money available. And again, luckily, myUPEI can make that easier for you. This view budget choice that appears up at the top of the enter a requisition screen, if I click on it, myUPEI opens a new budget summary tab, and this shows all of the different cost centers and the matching object codes that are defined in my accounts, and I can see what the balances are now. Please bear in mind that this is all just demo data, none of it's real. But this allows you to identify where you have funds that can be used for this purchase. You can then either click back on the Enter a Requisition tab to keep going, or you can close the budget summary, which I'll do right now. And I'm back to Enter a Requisition. The final column here is the project ID column. If this purchase is for a research project or other project, then it's critical that you enter the proper project ID in this field. Again, if you aren't certain what your project IDs are, then you can use this choice, View Projects, in order to see. Beacon or myUPEI will open a new tab and show you any projects to which you have access. Now, this account of mine, I don't have any projects, so none show up. If the project that you are looking for doesn't show up, then please contact Research Accounting and they can get that straightened out for you. So I'm going to close this tab, and now I'm back to the Enter a Requisition for Goods and Services screen. So there's no project ID. This is not being purchased for a project, so no project ID in this case. So I'm going to scroll down. Text codes, we can leave that alone. Two comment boxes that I want to describe here. The printed comments, any text that you enter here is included on the purchase order. So this information will be seen by the vendor, and you can then use it to provide any special instructions, or if you are purchasing based on a particular quote, you might want to put in a quote number here. So any additional information that you'd like the supplier to see. The comments box here, there's about 3 different types of information you should or may put in here. Your deliver to information should definitely be put in here. So in this case, I'm going to say deliver to BVESI, ITSS, ABC 237 South. You can also use this box, should also use this box, to indicate if the supplier is being being paid in a currency other than US or Canadian dollars. So if they're being paid in euros or yen, something like that, please include that here. The other use for this box is to provide details for a new vendor. And we do have another little video on how to enter a requisition for a new vendor, but the short version is rather than searching for a vendor, you don't, and then you put the vendor details in here. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit further. About approvers, you don't really need to do anything in there. If the purchase that you're making is below your limit for authorization on the accounts that you're using, then there's no next approver piece. This will go straight in for purchase at procurement, and they'll create a PO. If, however, this total is above your limit, then the requisition is going to be routed to the next approver in your chain. And each set of accounts has a different sort of approval chain. In my case, it would go up to Dana Sanderson. So now we're ready to submit the requisition. All I have to do is click the submit button, and the requisition was successfully created. Here's all the details. Again, because this was below my limit, there's no next approver, and I can go ahead and click OK. Now, if you do have any supporting information to go along with this requisition, so perhaps you've got a quote or you have specifications of some kind that need to be forwarded along to procurement, then please scan those documents if you don't have them in electronic format already, and email them to procurement@upei.ca. And if this requisition has a next approver, so if it is above your limit, then please copy your approver with those same attachments. So that's for any supporting documentation that may go along with the actual purchase that you're making. And so that's about it. That's all there is to creating a requisition. As you can see, myUPEI makes it fairly easy for you to do that.